Hey everyone, welcome to week 8 of the college football road trip. Today we are on site in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, where we will be attending the Western Michigan at Central Michigan game here on Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I will give my pick to that game at the end of today's picks. So let's go ahead and just dive right in to our week 8 picks. So we're going to start off this week with a Thursday night game. Our Thursday night game this week is Stanford at Arizona State in a Pac-12 matchup. This one's a little hard to pick. Stanford struggled a little bit over the past week or so. They barely got over Oregon. Arizona State's kind of had an up and down season so far. So this week I'm going to go ahead and pick Stanford to win the game at Arizona State in the Thursday night matchup. But again, that I could see that game easily going in either way. Moving on to our Saturday games, let's start off with a Big 12 matchup. The Oklahoma Sooners go to Fort Worth to play TCU. Obviously, we know that Oklahoma is coming off the loss to Texas and the firing of the defense coordinator. So it'll be interesting to see what their defense looks like this week. But honestly, I don't think it matters. TCU has really struggled on the offensive side of the ball the past 2 or 3 weeks and has not really looked that great this season. So because of that, I'm going to pick Oklahoma to win at TCU on Saturday. Our next game is moving over to the Big Ten. We have Michigan at Michigan State. This is going to be another good matchup. You never know what is going to happen in a rivalry game like this. Michigan State came off a big upset last week. Michigan's looked pretty good so far this season after the opening loss to Notre Dame. So I think Michigan's going to keep the momentum going. Again, it's at Michigan State. It's a rivalry game. I could see this going Michigan State way, but I think at the end of the day, Michigan will have a little bit too much, and Michigan will win that game at Michigan State. Staying in the Big Ten, we have another matchup where Maryland plays at Iowa. Maryland's had a pretty decent year so far this year. Iowa's looked really good. So because of that, I'm going to stick with Iowa. I think Iowa will beat Maryland pretty handily at home this week. Let's move over to ACC for our next matchup between NC State at Clemson, two undefeated teams. Clemson has struggled against Syracuse a couple weeks ago, but looked really good last week. NC State is a team that really hasn't been challenged so far this year. The one matchup that was supposed to be against a really good team in West Virginia was canceled about a month ago because of the hurricane. So they haven't been challenged, and so because of that, I'm going to pick Clemson to win this game, and I think they're going to win at home pretty handily over the currently undefeated NC State, so Clemson will win there. Moving back to the Pac-12, we have Colorado at Washington. Colorado kind of got exposed a little bit last week against USC. USC went and pretty much blew Colorado out. Washington is a pretty good team at home. They struggled once or twice, but I think that Washington's going to pull out the win this week. So I'm going to pick Washington over Colorado in the Pac-12. Let's move back over to the SEC. For the big SEC matchup this week, you have LSU, who is going to be playing at home against Mississippi State. Mississippi State visiting. Obviously, LSU has come off a big win over Georgia. They looked really good in that Georgia game and kind of exposed Georgia there. Mississippi State is a team that's really hard to pick up anything on. They've been up and down all season. So because the game is in Baton Rouge, I'm going to pick LSU to go ahead and win this game at home. So I'm going to pick LSU over Mississippi State in our SEC matchup this week. Moving back to the Pac-12, we have 2 more Pac-12 matchups. This is a big week in the Pac-12. We have Oregon at Washington State. This is going to be my upset special of the week. I think Washington State will win as the home team in this game. Oregon, again, has kind of been up and down. Washington State's been up and down, but you never know what Mike Leach is going to pull out at home. So I'm going to pick Washington State to upset Oregon at home in the Pac-12. Our next Pac-12 matchup is USC at Utah. I've already mentioned what USC did last week to Colorado. I think they're going to keep up the momentum this week. So I think USC is going to be able to go to Utah and win that game. So USC over Utah in the Pac-12. So let's now come to our game for this week. Western Michigan at Central Michigan and MAC play. Western Michigan has looked pretty good over the past few weeks. Central Michigan has struggled most of the season. I believe they're at 1-6 and have not won a MAC game yet. Although they did get upset at the last second last week. They had the lead and then blew it the last second on a field goal. So what's going to happen this week? Honestly, Western Michigan, I think it's going to be way too much for Central Michigan. So I'm going to pick Western Michigan to win that matchup in the MAC. I will be at that game. Follow me along on cfbroadtrip.com all this week. I'll be keeping up with some various things to do in Mount Pleasant, some places to eat, some things to do, give you a view of the campus, give you a view of some of the sporting facilities, whether that be a field hockey game possibly on Friday or the football game on Saturday. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll talk to you again next week. Enjoy the games this weekend, everyone.